Hi, I'm Cameron, and I just read comics. I love them. On today's episode of Cameron Reads Comics, my friend Lauren and I are talking about Catwoman When in Rome by Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale. At some points in this episode, we discuss this comic compared to the last one Lauren read, Selina's Big Score. So you may want to go check that out. And if you like that one, you may want to go check out Black Widow by Mark Waid and Chris Somney. In this episode, we read Catwoman When in Rome, issues number 1 through 6, and we are going to go into complete spoilers for the series. So consider yourself warned. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram accounts, as well as clobber that like button and leave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. Welcome to Cameron Reads Comics. My name's Cameron. I don't just read comics. I love them. And Lauren, my guest is Lauren today. And we actually, I'm really excited about this one because I don't know if I've done a couple Avengers ones, but it's cool to see someone now like who's following a character. And so now you're kind of getting, I thought this compared to the last story you read was two different visions of the same character. And like, I'm excited to talk to you about that. So before you listen to this episode, you may want to go listen to Selina's Big Score and Black Widow, the two previous stories Lauren read. But today we are talking about Catwoman When in Rome by Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale. So, number one, Lauren, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. And then number two, I was like, let's just greet her first. Number two, how did you like the story? Like, how'd you feel?
I really liked this one. And I feel like it was a roller coaster. There was a lot going on.
I thought this was kind of got off the rails.
It was wild from start to finish, and I always felt like I knew what was coming, and I didn't.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah. Oh, why? Did you think it was predictable?
No, for me, this is my second time reading it,
Okay.
and so it was going from it's like when you rewatch a movie.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't know all the beats, and I didn't remember what I thought I remembered, but it just, I don't know, it didn't do the same thing it did for me the first time.
In what way? What did it do the first time that it didn't do the second time?
Like, let's say the first time I read it, it was an 8. This one was not an 8.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Do you feel that way because of the more you've read and like how maybe you've adapted your taste or style versus like the first time you read it?
That could definitely be a factor, but I just thought by no means I don't think it was a bad story. You know what I mean? I just thought it was average. And so when I read it, I was like, well, I think I have some ideas of who the character is and the direction they should go, and maybe who the other characters are within this story too. And I don't know, it wasn't as satisfying to meet my needs of that character or whatever it be.
I mean, I also feel like too, I really, really liked aspects of it, but there were also strong parts that I really didn't like.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that.
I feel like you can guess, but anyway.
I think so. And that's I was like, okay, well, before we even get into this book entirely, how did this one compare to Selina's Big Score?
Oh, I mean, very different.
Yeah.
Stylistically, I feel like kind of this Selina was the same.
There's some key characteristics. Yeah.
I liked the, I don't even really know the technical verbiage. I liked the design of this much more.
So this artist, I was excited to see how you felt about this artist. His name is Tim Sale. He's one of the greatest, and this team specifically is one of the best Batman teams. I'd argue if someone was to say the best Batman creative team, it is these guys. And if someone was to make that argument, they'd have a very strong argument. And I don't know if I could quite disagree. And and this is actually coming out of that. So if you want to read, that could be potentially what we read next or something.
When you say a creative team, like, is that what's in the team?
Okay. So remember in Black Widow, the artist writer,
Yeah.
was Chris Samnee and Mark Waid.
Right.
They have done series together, and so there's like sequential stuff going on with them. Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale are a team, and they have done multiple projects together, and so
okay.
that is the team.
Okay, and then who, in the very beginning, is Mark Chiarello?
Is that the colorist?
I have no idea. Oh, he's the editor?
Editor. Oh, okay. So they submit scripts. Like
okay.
when Jeph Loeb writes it, he submits his script to the editor.
Okay.
And what the editor's job usually is to make sure that all the continuity and stuff is sound, that the story beats are crystal clear. Maybe we can tweak this here and there to make it make more sense, more comprehensive, and kind of find out, number one, principal editing, which is it sequential and normal? But then how does this fit into the larger universe that it says it's taking place in?
Very cool.
Because there are some factors in this story that I don't know if I told you, or like that you may not have known before. And then, so his job is to make sure where this fits in like the DC universe as a whole.
Did you read his intro?
No.
It's really funny. You should read it.
Oh, okay.
Because he explains like certain aspects of choices of like story and plot and design.
Yeah.
And how it fits. And I just thought it was funny. And he's a great.
He's
a funny dude. So
oh, gladly. Well,
in the future, you should read that.
Oh my gosh. This is every time, Lauren, you're not invited actually back, because every time you come on, you show me something I didn't know.
You're like, get off.
Lauren, you probably read like the freaking post credits too, just like all the sketch art. Yeah.
Yep, I
You're
did.
so thorough. And I'm just like, all right, issues 1 through 6. I literally thought it was 5 issues, and then I was like, okay, well, that's a big climax that
You're like, whoa, it just ends. And then you're like, oh, wait.
At the end of issue 5, Riddler's like with all of the people.
Yeah, I was like, this is crazy. Anyway.
Okay, so did you like Jeph Loeb's art and everything then too? Or Tim Sale's art?
I did.
Oh my gosh. Okay, actually, I think I know what you and I are going to read next. I think I'm going to give you their pinnacle Batman story, which is Batman The Long Halloween.
Oh, yeah, he mentions that in the intro.
Yeah, okay, so I'm not going to give you super spoilers, but you may have interacted with these characters and you just don't know it already.
Okay.
So in Batman Begins, when Bruce, pretty much the first time he comes out and he chains a mobster to the light and makes the first bat signal, and he just like, who are you? I'm Batman. That's Carmine Falcone.
Yes.
So that character was not created, but he interacts for the first time with he's a major part of the Batman Long Halloween storyline, and you find out in the sequel to that, it's not a major spoiler, but it's a factor nonetheless. You find out that Catwoman, who didn't have a family, is one of his daughters.
Right.
And
which is what they're bringing up in this.
And so, yeah,
right?
in the ashes of the sequel story, Batman Dark Victory, or this might be taking place between those, I don't quite remember.
Yeah, it's saying it's like a bridge between the Long Halloween and Dark Victory.
Okay, well that makes sense, because did you understand when they said she said, oh, Bruce is going to the circus?
No.
Oh, well, she's like, oh, Bruce is going to the circus. I wonder how that went. I didn't know if it took place like in between or where it happened, because we pick up with her in Dark Victory, like the very beginning. And when Bruce goes to the circus, he sees the Flying Graysons, and that is when Two-Face or Gangster, or oh my gosh, I want to say it's Sal Maroni, but that's not. Tony Zuko. He pretty much cuts the wires from the trapeze artist.
Oh, and that's how Robin is born.
Yeah, so that's what that.
Whoa, wow, it's all connected.
It is. Very
cool.
And I didn't realize. I was like, is there another specific circus thing that's happening? But now we know. And well, now I'm like, I don't know, because I don't know how she knows he's Bruce, because this story is also published
right
after Batman Hush, and in that story, Bruce reveals his identity to Selina,
which was interesting because remember how she realizes Eddie, right?
Yeah.
Edward,
the
Riddler, crossed her.
Edward Nygma, yeah.
And his whole point was to try and uncover who Batman is, and then the whole point was that she doesn't know who he is, which I was like, huh?
She does know. Because
But then,
she in her mind, in literally, and she calls him Bruce multiple times.
yeah, but she doesn't know his face, right?
Yeah, she does. Selina
But
and
then
Bruce date.
why isn't his face showing up in the dreams?
Because she, I don't know if Bruce is the one she's attracted to as much as she is to Batman. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Now,
Okay, maybe that's a plot hole.
yeah, that was the one thing that got me through the story is I was like, because in Batman Hush, Bruce reveals himself to Selina as Batman in one of the most famous panels ever. And then also at the very end of that story, Riddler knows who Batman is.
Okay, yeah, then maybe this just doesn't make sense.
I don't know.
Or maybe it was like, let's just do this for fun.
Maybe she's talking about Bruce separately, then she's talking about Batman, and I just read too far into it. I think you may be right.
About what?
Like she's referencing Bruce separately than Batman, and she's not. They're not showing Bruce's face; they're showing Batman's face.
Yeah, that part was getting a little confusing.
Yeah. And now I'm confused. So
yeah,
congrats.
all right. Well, this is
other
what we
thing.
always do: is just confuse.
Lauren's like, let me look very deeply into this, and so we're just gonna take it as she doesn't know who Batman is, but she knows Bruce Wayne, and they have dated, I guess.
Sure.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's not that deep. It's just not that deep.
It hurts me. Now it is. Okay, actually, my other question too, compared to the last story you read, did you like this costume better or the other one?
I think you like the other one better.
I agree, because the one thing I really like, the all purple. I have a Catwoman t-shirt, and it's like for the fans, a classic Jim Ballant Catwoman. I like the all purple suit that's like skin tight. Like I just think it's cool, and purple's also my favorite color. So,
what's interesting is if you read the intro, they speak about how it was really important to whoever, I don't know, you'll find out, that they use this costume in this particular story.
Oh, I don't know. But it's funny too, because her costume in this one, I really don't like the whiskers. I'm like,
oh, see, what was weird to me is I just don't remember such a long tail in the last one, and she had such a long tail in this one.
In the last one, she didn't have a tail.
Yeah, see?
They would tie the whip around her waist, and an end would hang off.
Yeah, I was like
a tail.
I was like, the tail thing's a little weird.
I'm like, but I love this costume. I just don't think I like this one. And then I was not a fan of the whiskers. I'm like, I get it. You're leaning into it. She had whiskers.
She did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. She did. Too much.
Yeah, exactly. But, not bad still. Like, I don't think it's a bad costume. I've seen worse, Okay, well, we haven't even really talked about the story yet. So, I'm like, except for the plot
We're
holes,
getting there.
as I look at my questions, how did you feel about the dream sequences with Batman showing up and, yeah, how did you like those? Did you think they were necessary to the story? Did you like her? Did you, I guess, agree with her idea of who Bruce is, or like their interpretation of who Bruce is to her? How'd you feel?
I think they were necessary to the story because I feel like they revealed that complicated relationship that Catwoman and Batman have, but in particular to the story as well. I think there was a little too many.
Yeah, there's like
it was just like for every issue.
Well, yeah, maybe it's a point, but I mean, like, it's a footnote in every issue, but
yeah, it just and I was wondering if what they were gonna do with it is there was gonna be a situation where she was gonna be with Batman, and then you're like, is it a dream? Is it not? Setting it up as like that type of scenario. It was fine. It wasn't my favorite thing.
Yeah, I'm like, do you think, and like, I don't know how much of an opinion you have on this, but I think with fans, it's a big argument point. Do you think she's the one he's supposed to be with? Like, do you think they are meant for each other?
No.
Really?
No.
Why not?
Because, I don't know. I feel like the whole concept of them to complete one another is unnecessary. I think they're two separate people. And I feel like they're better off on their own.
I don't know if I disagree with you. I think that
they have similar stories. I think that's cool.
I think if Batman's supposed to end up with anyone, it's Selina.
Sure.
Like if he was to have, but I think he's just so broken that he can't quite be with her. And I don't think she quite wants that. And that's why they won't work.
Well, what was interesting is I only I mean, I had the prior story to work with, but I was thinking of I think it's Dark Knight, but I'm not even sure. When don't they leave and live somewhere together?
Dark Knight Rises.
Right. Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
But when she talks about, I think in one of the dreams where she's like, yeah, you'll never accept me for who I am. And I was like, dang.
It's true though. I don't know. Because he's so legalistic and obviously she's not, you know, there's just, but also that's, I think if there was a reason why they work, that's one of the reasons why they work is because she can balance him in that way. Not that he would want that, whatever it be, but I'm like, it's just interesting. Okay, how did you feel about the reasoning that she went to Italy? Like, were you down? She's like, I just need to get out of here and go. Like, was she supposed to? Why did she even go to Italy? I don't get it.
Well, she was trying to find out about herself.
Okay, it was a self-discovery trip.
It's a self-discovery trip.
And then she brought the Riddler.
Because, but that's why I felt like that was a little bit weird because, you know, she's so self-sufficient.
Yes.
So to need the Riddler who just asks questions, right? Riddles.
You're not. Yeah. I was like, we're going to talk about him next.
Yeah. But I was like, okay, interesting. Sure. Maybe she wants some help. But for self-discovery. But obviously, you know that nothing is as simple as that. And she was going to get mixed up into some sort of thing, which happened to be with her family. It was just crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, she's there to do self-discovery. I
don't know, were you down for that reason?
I don't know if I buy that is something that she would do. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I thought it was cool. I think it's cool to have Rome as the background and have, you know, mob and mafia and
honestly,
Italian stuff. I don't know. It was crazy. It was cool.
Fun fact, Lauren and I did a self-discovery trip in Italy.
We also self-discovered.
There was a time there when we went to Italy that we would just hide like butter knives in our sleeves in every restaurant we went to.
And that was our true self.
That's who I discovered I am. But, you know, I'm just a butter knife in the sleeve of society. That's deep.
That's deep. I don't know if people are ready for that.
They're not. Don't go out to dinner with me anyways, but, unless you're ready. Okay, so then I think one of the reasons that she went to Italy also was to figure out self-discovery with the bombshell dropped within, I guess it must have been Long Halloween, but the bombshell dropped within that was that she was Falcone's daughter. And so she's going back to their motherland to kind of like reconcile those parts of herself. And then I really, really, really liked the arc where she had to go find her mother.
Yeah.
You know, I appreciated that. I think her bringing Edward was because she's not the world's greatest detective. And that's what she says. Like, Batman's the world's greatest detective. I have this other guy where whether he's a comedic character, he's kind of like I just want to call him like an imp. Like he's just like an imp. Like I just think of him like a little troll. You know what I mean?
I've never heard the word imp.
Isn't that like, do you watch Game of Thrones?
No.
Oh. Tyrion Lannister, baby. I'm watching, for the fans, you may know this or you may have been following, I'm watching simultaneously The Sopranos and Game of Thrones.
What a mix.
The two biggest hitters, the heaviest hitters at HBO. And also Warner Brothers owns DC Comics, so it's full circle again.
You're like, I'm in love.
But I just think he's an annoying little troll, just like a pixie.
He's a pest.
Exactly, it keeps following her around, and they make him that. But I guess the point I was trying to make, Batman is brilliant, obviously, but Edward is so brilliant, and that is something he when it comes to the, you know, each Batman film is him fighting off a part of his personality. The Joker is his own sanity that he's tackling with. Two-Face is the duality of, you know, am I a hero? Am I a villain? Edward Nygma is his brilliance. Do you know what I mean? Can I outsmart this guy? Like, just consider their relationship, them playing chess.
I feel very dense because I've never thought about it like that.
Is
that your own?
No.
Like,
no.
Is that a well-known thing in the Batman world? I have never heard that, but it totally makes sense.
And I don't know, for like we talk about villains a lot too, with when it comes to villains and what makes a good villain is like there is a sense of duality within that.
Sure.
And so that's what makes a good villain. I don't know if that's quite like well known, but like once everyone hears it, it makes sense, and maybe you've come to those conclusions on your own, but maybe just not said that way. Like,
so I remember that we had this conversation last time, but then why is Catwoman, what's Catwoman's like mirror for Batman?
Romance, you know what I mean? It's not like a mirror as much like, you know what I mean, like, you know, how can I fight this person who has my, like, she's so enticing and she's so enthralling, you know, she's, you know, there's the danger part. She humors this lifestyle that he lives, which, you know, as much as people want to think Batman, what he doesn't hate what he's doing, he does do it for the thrill, and she is the enticing, like, sexy thrill indulger that he
she's bait.
She's bait, and like, you know, which leads me to my next question is she do you think that her biggest fear is being a damsel in distress to Bruce? Because I feel like that's what they kind of showed.
Yeah, I mean, again, we talk about, I think her biggest strength is that she's self-sufficient and she's independent, and I think it's true that there are many instances, and you can speak to this more than I can, that, you know, Batman comes to save the day and then it's not her moment anymore. It's not her getting herself out of something, which I'm sure to her is embarrassing or frustrating or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, and also they like love each other, but don't. And yeah, I mean, I could see how if it's this person who you like love so much, but their relationship's complicated, like she doesn't want to be in debt to him.
Yeah. I think I agree. I don't know if I agree that's her biggest fear. Because I just don't, I guess, man, maybe I'm just, the way I see her now is I don't see her as, she is in the grand narrative of Batman, and as much as Batman takes over just the hemisphere of DC Comics, I think people want to view her as a subplot. I don't really view her as a subplot anymore.
I don't either.
You know,
I think of her as her own thing.
I don't think she's a supporting character. Thus, you know, I'm so glad to read stories where she is the protagonist. I don't like her in her own story then being a footnote to a subplot to Batman's story, and maybe that's an appropriate biggest fear. Yeah, but I think that really, I don't know, maybe for her, and this could be my misunderstanding of the character too. I just think that her biggest fear would be like settling down. You know what I mean? Is the mediocrity of life.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And lack of autonomy. So I guess that makes sense of her as a, you know, damsel in distress, and that she won't be capable and she needs a big bad bat to come save her or whatever. Sure. But I don't know. I just don't know if that did it for me. You know what I mean?
Well, and you know, on top of that, I feel like she doesn't want, in a way, to find that out about herself, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like her eternal happiness is just running away from things and doing bad shit and being a bad bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And like, that's why we love her too. And, it's because it's also, I feel like she's the kind of character who is such a, you know, a bad bitch, or like, for really, that's like the best way to put it.
She
like,
is.
She's such a character like that I could not, you know, put her into a box like that either. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't be the one to tell her what she is, because I just feel like already that's untrue to the character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She you know what she'd do is she'd just go like spit in my face and do the opposite, right? Like literally that's what I see her doing.
Yeah, and that's why I like that about her. I think it's good that she doesn't get put, like, because, you know, even just like the Catwoman as a name in general, like she loves to explore that and, you know, go outside of the box with like the design and the character and whatever. So yeah, I think it's fair to say like she's just indescribable.
Yeah, in a good way.
In a good way.
Not in a I'm not like other girls way.
Exactly. Very fair point.
Okay, so then how did you feel about the arc of, like, I guess her finding her mother, and then her mother, you know, being a blind nun, and then what? How'd you feel about that?
I was just like, okay, so there was a lot of good humor
Yeah.
in this. Like the writing was really good as far as like dialogue and
Yeah. Did you like her narrations?
Yes, I did. I did at times, but it was a lot. But like her jokes within her brain were really funny and delivery was funny.
Yeah.
But when she was walking up and then there was nuns with guns and she was just like, yeah, fitting. I thought that was so funny.
Yeah.
1. 2, you're just like, what? Her mom is a blind nun? Like, huh?
Right. Like a mob wife turned blind nun.
Yeah. Crazy.
Oh.
Crazy. But then she lies to her.
Yeah.
Why?
Wait, what does she lie about?
She says that she only had one daughter.
Oh, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
remember that. I literally read that today too.
Blondie
Yeah.
is the one who told her, like,
Yeah.
actually, no, she lied to you. And then he tells her the truth.
But then I want to know why she lies to her, because I don't think her mom's a good person. Well, because how did Blondie go?
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
And I think,
no, you're right.
Again, I think you want a reflection. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. It's the duality of like, I'm a good person. No, I'm not. And that's kind of the internal battle. Selina, I wouldn't say she's battling with. She just does what she wants. But it's like, again, if we're trying to put her in a box, she's not a hero. She's not a villain. She's just doing what she wants to do.
Right. And I think I like the arc of that being her family.
Me too.
Because, yeah, I mean, it's not expected, but I don't know. I just thought it was a really interesting arc. Like, I think even me sometimes when I'm reading something, I'm like, wow, for the writer to think of that as the arc, fascinating. Like, how did that come into your brain?
And especially, with comics, the thing I love most with something like that is how did that come into your brain, but also how could nobody have ever thought of that? You know, it sometimes the solutions and stuff are just so blaringly like perfect and so true to the character, whoever they're writing, that I can't believe nobody else thought of it, you know?
Well, and also too, I don't know if you've thought of this before, but actually you were talking about it in one of your episodes with Kyle with like Wonder Woman, and you were saying like, oh, it's really tough to write her because of the duality or whatever.
Oh, were you just listening? That was Justice League.
Yeah, I was listening to that one. But you know, I think it's interesting to think about how these writers adopt such a presence. So like we're talking about how, you know, she does what she wants and she isn't really identified by anything, and to take that on and then write an arc that contributes to that person as a whole is very, I would imagine, challenging.
I think that's the biggest challenge in comics, and especially you'll see it in adaptations, and that you'll see how a take on a character is so controversial to fans. And I think one of the better arguments for that, there's two right now, especially in recent history. Number one, Ben Affleck's Batman, and I'd say, oh my gosh, I just had it in my head, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, even to the point of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Like
arguing if that was the correct person to express
all of it. Okay. Yeah, like literally, Ben Affleck's Batman, in my opinion, isn't the best representation of who that character is. I think we have some most true parts of who Batman is in that.
I think that's true, by the way. I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't.
So you liked
I like Christian Bale.
Yeah.
I also don't think he's the perfect Batman. I think people harp on him being the perfect Batman because he is, number one, he's just the superhero actor that gave this entire medium credibility as narrative, you know, and you'll see that when we read Long Halloween.
But do you think, sorry, there's so many questions within this, because you could give so much credit to Christian Bale, and let's give credit to Christian Bale, but couldn't you also argue that's like the production, that's the director, that's like the whole team?
All of the above, but you know, it's easy to just give him the flagship Batman thing. Okay. And like when I say Christian Bale Batman, I mean the entirety of the series as a whole. You know, the writing, the Dark Knight, in my opinion, is the greatest superhero movie of all time.
And I think a lot of people would say that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, you can talk to anyone in anyways, well, the different conversation. With Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and with that, it's like people think that Peter Parker was way too cool, and like the direction that they took him on is not where that character should have gone. And I'm like, yo, there are true parts of my favorite sequence of all time. I think even, I don't know, I think Homecoming beat it, but even in for Spider-Man is the first like 10 minutes of Amazing Spider-Man 2, where he's just swinging through the city and he's like knocks on the window of the armed car robber and he's just trying to make it all work. Like, that's true to the character. How they treated him and Gwen, and whether or not, you know, the direction the second movie really went, people don't agree with that. And there's a visceral reaction to, I guess, an audience's pre-existing idea of a character that has been around for this long,
sure,
and how they are embodied. And I think that is, I don't know, it's different. And then you get a character like Tom Holland's Batman, maybe in the future, shoot, Tom Holland's Spider-Man that is so reactionary to Andrew Garfield's. And Andrew Garfield's that was reactionary to
did people like
Tobey Maguire's?
Andrew Garfield's?
No.
Yeah.
I don't know. I loved him. I think he's great. But people didn't like him so much to the point that like that second film, the second film is one of the like least popular superhero movies, in my opinion. Though it's easily my top. I think it's in my top 3 Spider-Man movies. So
I feel like it's. I mean, we've talked about this and whatever, but I just think it's so interesting how visceral it gets. Like people are just so and it's okay because you know you love Batman.
It's true, yeah.
And there could be 5 million reasons for that, all of which are unique and personal to you.
Yeah.
But like people go cray.
People really do. And it's like, you got to give it some breathing room too. Like, you know, I really, these days, I'm not so visceral about like, you know what I mean? Because I think at the end of the day too, all of these representations are true about the character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
About every character. So like, I think that there are parts that are very true about Christian Bale. Like, you want to talk about duality of a character, and like,
right.
So I think Christian Bale's like a great Bruce Wayne. He's not my favorite Batman. I think on the flip end, Ben Affleck's a great Batman. Not my favorite Bruce Wayne.
Wow,
you know
that's
what I mean?
really interesting.
And
well, okay, yeah, that's interesting because then, okay, so question for you. This is putting you on the spot. You might not have an answer. Who do you think would be the best to represent this Selina in this story?
What do you mean, like as a
just actress?
An actress. I think, you know, and I just think that when it comes to actresses that are true to their representation, and I think the most important, you know, really more than anything, the actors that play these characters and everything, for me, as just a comic book guy, is the source material they're pulling it from. And so then my answer would be Anne Hathaway.
Because you love
Catwoman.
Her. Yes.
No,
I know. We discussed this.
I love her, and you'll see when you read literally Long Halloween and Catwoman's in that, Anne Hathaway is Jeph Loeb's Catwoman. And so that's who this is. And so with all the problems and whatever be, they're still there. That is who I think embodies this. She's one of my favorite ones. I just don't, on actress, I haven't thought about who my favorite Catwoman actress would be. And I think more, I'm really again, what we talked about last time, I'm really excited to see Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman.
I know. I still just am like, yeah, her. But
she's gonna be great.
No, I just was curious because I feel like even you could argue that our reactions to celebrities as a whole is visceral.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, why? I mean, they're just humans, but we also feel such a like intense connection to like what's happening in their lives.
Exactly.
So it's just interesting to think about who would play and how they choose that and all sorts of things. I just think that's interesting.
It just blows my mind how, I guess, important the opinions are, or people value their own opinions on who should play what. And I'm like, I have a million of those, and I'm so guilty of that. But really, at the end of the day, I just think I really do trust the casting directors and everything.
Sure.
Like, and really give me the, you know, here's a crazy one that I'm just most excited for. The Rock as Black Adam. It's pretty much, did you see Shazam?
No.
Oh, well, number one.
Is Shazam in DC? Okay.
That movie flew way under the radar. I'd highly recommend it.
Okay.
We could do a watch
I actually heard like pretty good things about it. I just haven't watched it.
It's a pretty solid movie. Like, it's a tone shift from DC, but it's like,
Is it funny?
Yes, it's imagine if Big was the 10-year-old kid.
Yep.
Says Shazam, and he becomes this embodiment. He's a magical kind of Superman-esque character.
Okay, we'll watch that next.
For my fans, that was a very layman's description of the character, but honestly, it's pretty true with what they're going for. Whether or not I agree with that interpretation, different story. Again, but that's literally exactly what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Rock.
Black Adam is pretty much evil Shazam.
Oh. Is he an evil kid who turns into a villain?
He has his own story that's very, very, very specific.
Ooh.
If you want to get into Black Adam, I think he is one of the greatest comic book characters of all time. I'm so excited for that movie. But his characterization, it being number one physically, who that character is, absolutely correct. He is terrifying. He's an anti-hero too, very similar to this, but he owns he is a representative of a country, and so it's pretty much think Black Panther, but it's evil, and or for my Marvel fans, just think Doctor Doom. And he was a slave that was granted with this power that became a champion, and then he never gave up the power, and he is holding on to it with an iron fist and ruling pretty much tyrannically, but also he's an anti-hero. Like, he will work with, right now he's on the current Justice League roster, which is crazy to think about, but
wow.
But it works because that's like kind of like so consistent with who that character is. Again, he's not quite a villain, but he is he's doing what he wants to do, and he'll freaking put you down like Superman power levels. Like,
cool.
It's
I'm excited to like learn more about that character.
I'm so freaking excited. I'll show you the trailer later.
Okay,
good. But wait, going back to this story,
yes.
and there with this interpretation, whether or not, again, I agree with everything they did. How did you feel about? There's just some times I felt like
I already know what you're gonna say.
Always nude.
Yes.
How did you feel about that?
That bugged me.
Me too.
It's just so unnecessary.
I'm like, the whole scene.
Well,
yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're.
Let me build on top of that. She talks about how she likes designer shit, Gucci and whatever. So put her in that.
Yeah.
Match that to the character. I don't understand why she had to be like. Why was that? How did that contribute to the story?
And I was like, okay, one time I'll let it slip, but it happened multiple times.
Yeah. Yeah, and the her not even like knowing. It just came off sleazy and stupid.
It didn't age well. I realized.
Yeah. And when was this made?
2006.
Yeah. We're 15 years later.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yay. But it just was unnecessary. I mean, I also have talked about this, but like, there isn't wrong with power and sexuality. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But like, to just do it over and over again.
And then that's what really didn't like settle well. And I get this isn't a good argument, but I get he's a villain, and that's not a good argument. But that's what made it really irked me when Edward and her were kissing.
Yeah,
I was like,
why?
Literally, why? Like,
well, I also was like, okay, is this for comedic relief?
Yeah,
but it didn't really deliver in that way, and that all fell flat for me.
Literally, like, honestly, just in context with now my hindsight 2020. I love Jeph Loeb as a writer, as a person. I'm not trying to insinuate anything about him either. He hasn't had some great moments recently. But with that, think about it. Riddler drugged her.
Yeah.
Then he walked into the room, and then she she grabbed him and kissed him. Whatever. She was inebriated, and then she was in her underwear, and that was just so creepy and like rapey, and I didn't like it.
Yeah, and just like that's not. There's different Catwomans, right? So like, Catwoman's like sexy, which is true. She is. She's hot, but you don't need to like, what's the word?
It was like
exaggerate that, by having her nude all the time.
They're like indulging in like the like sexuality of the character, but not in not on her terms. You know what I mean? Which is so
Yeah.
weird because
No, that's true. And that's why it didn't feel true to the character.
Yeah.
Like her being nude all the time didn't even seem like it was within the choice of the character, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. I don't know. It just seemed odd.
literally, like, how many times did people walk into her room
Yeah.
where she was either in her underwear or like getting dressed? Like Edward had seen her pretty much almost naked 2 times in the story, and that's ridiculous.
No, remember he like undresses her.
Oh yeah, and he says that, and I'm like, oh my god.
I'm like, bruh. Too
and
much.
I'm like, that's just not good. It was just bad.
It came off bad, and it didn't do anything for the story. And well, okay, so what was interesting earlier is you said Riddler, right?
Yeah.
Is amazing or smart or
He's
whatever
brilliant,
you said.
yeah.
He's brilliant. But then why didn't he come across that way in the story?
I don't know.
Because I guess you could argue like, wow, his plan was brilliant within itself, but maybe their interpretation of this character didn't quite come through.
Maybe, and I think it's funny too because Jeph Loeb, Tim Sale, as character writers, I think they nail all of Batman's rogues gallery, which is so hard to do, and like they're terrifying. They make the villains terrifying, and the way Edward usually speaks in riddles is incredibly menacing. I think the tone they're trying to go for with the consistency of the character just didn't land well.
Yeah,
in this story.
Yeah,
and hey, also not every story is gonna be amazing and perfect.
Sure,
there's some points we really liked, and then there's some points that just it brought it down for me a lot. But okay, so my next question, I guess I have a couple. I have like, let's do. Like
you can do whatever you want. It's your podcast.
2 or 3 more questions. Okay, so with Riddler, how did you like his characterization in the story? Did you like him or just no?
No.
Okay,
but I didn't think we were supposed to.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. Like, he's not great in this story, especially.
Well, okay, so going back on that, the only experience I have with Riddler is Jim Carrey.
Oh yeah, I meant to ask. Yeah, it was Jim Carrey.
And that was a great, like, was that in the 90s or 80s?
The 90s.
Very 90s-esque Riddler.
He was peak in the 90s too, Jim Carrey.
So, and I remember, having that interpretation of like, you're just so lost with what he's saying, but he's like 3 steps ahead. He is,
and let's talk about casting for a second, because the Riddler is terrifying and scary and whatever it be the rest. He is going to be the villain of the Edward Norton Batman. No, I was going to say Edward Cullen Batman. Still not true.
Edward Cullen.
Hey, that's not wrong. It's factual. Robert Pattinson Batman. He is going to be the villain. And
really?
I'm so excited because it's about time we saw him done right. I don't know if you know this actor, but do you know who's playing him?
No.
Well, you didn't even know he's the villain, so why would you know who's playing him? Now that I think about it.
You're like, do you know this? I know you don't.
I'm like, let me mansplain.
Let me mansplain to you the Riddler.
Let me mansplain to you the actors playing the Riddler. Are you a big Paul Dano fan?
Don't know who that is.
He's in There Will Be Blood. He plays the plays the pastor, and he's a twin brother simultaneously in that movie. He's in Ruby Sparks. He's the writer. He is in what? He's like
no, I'm laughing because I'm just giving you a blank stare. Like I don't know.
Lauren, that doesn't translate well over audio.
Hey everyone, just so you know, I'm giving Cameron a blank stare because I don't know what he's talking about.
Love and Mercy. Oh wait, have you seen Little Miss Sunshine?
Yeah.
He's the brother who takes the silent oath.
I just would need a refresher.
Dwayne, that's his name in the movie. But I think he is the literally most underrated actor of all time.
So from what I remember, Jim Carrey's Riddler is very like gimmicky.
Yeah.
Are they taking that same?
No.
Yeah, I figured.
Even this one's a little gimmicky in the story we read. They're gonna do. Okay, have you seen the movie 7?
No.
Oh my god.
I'm just useless right now.
You
Sorry.
really are. Have you seen Fight Club?
Yes.
Okay, so they're taking a David Fincher, that director, style.
Okay.
This movie is very much a David Fincher Batman movie, which is what we didn't know we needed. And they're pretty much making, I'd argue that they're kind of conveying him off of 7's Kevin Spacey, which is in that movie, the plot is that he kills someone based on every 7 deadly sin.
Mm-hmm.
Kill 7 people based on like lust, greed, sloth,
envy,
whatever it be. they're doing that with the Riddler, and if you watch the trailer and you like listen to him, it is the most terrifying thing. And I think Riddler has potential to be one of the best Batman villains and like most terrifying. And so Paul Dano as the cast, I think is just one of the most brilliant casting decisions ever. So
Cool.
I'm like, and I love that actor too.
How'd you feel about the Penguin?
I don't know yet. I like Penguin. I'm waiting to read the Penguin story that really changes my life about Penguin. I haven't quite read that yet. For my fans, I'd recommend Batman Zero Year, whatever the Riddler story is in that, for my Riddler, because I think that is the most perfect representation of that character ever. Because it just shows like how brilliant he is and how the Batman's mind has to go against his and the riddles that he chooses. And anyways. Okay, so that's Riddler. I guess I got two more questions. Three questions. Who was your favorite character? You're allowed to say Selina again, too.
Yeah. Selina.
Oh, cool.
I'm going to say it.
That's good. I think now after talking, my favorite character was the mom. Because I literally...
that was messed up.
Her beat with... Did you like how she killed Blondie?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like that would just paralleled so well with the last Selina comic book we read.
Yeah.
Like, geez, she just can't.
She can't win.
She can't win.
That's why she has to be with Batman, because he won't die.
True.
No.
Yeah, no, and also like the end scene, right, where they said, oh, like if one of us is there, then you just move on. And she doesn't even know that he's dead.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, that was good. And I really like that scene for her too. She's like, I thought I'd be the one to leave him at the altar.
Yeah, and I just was like, is that just always how it's gonna end for her? And we've talked about like,
you're right,
happy endings, bad endings, it doesn't matter. Do we know? But yeah.
How'd you feel about his arc? Because I'm like, I don't know. I don't get why or how they fell in love. I just didn't think that romance was earned. Maybe he's dreamy just because he's blonde Italian dude. That's a good enough reason, I guess. But
I think we, in a good story in general, very arguable what factors contribute to a good story.
Yeah.
They wanted a little romance, wanted her to be naked all the time.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it was like, yeah, let's just throw this in.
That's how I felt too. I honestly thought I literally, this is how I remembered the book. I don't remember. I knew Riddler wasn't up to anything good. I think I probably read this like 3 or 4 years ago. I knew Riddler wasn't up to anything good, but then I was like, oh, like Riddler, let's go see what he's gonna do. I was like, I didn't think he was the big bad. I thought that
I definitely thought Blondie was going to be a villain.
I thought he was the villain, and I like reread this, and I was like, she doesn't know that the villain of the story is taking him to the airport. And then he was never the villain at all.
Yeah, he just like was a good guy.
Yeah,
and that's what made it even more sad when he just was dead. I
was like, okay, and then
just not funny.
He gave up the secret. Lauren, these are fictional characters. It's really fine. The romance wasn't earned, so it's fine that you laugh. So I guess that's why she was my favorite, because she killed the mom arc.
She's like ratatata.
Exactly what she said. I don't know if you read that in the panel. I read that just like it. Okay, do you have a favorite moment?
Favorite moment. Wait, can we just talk about, this isn't my favorite moment, but can we just talk about the cheetah character?
It literally just came into my head.
Bonkers.
Okay, you have to watch Wonder Woman 1984.
She's in that?
She's the villain.
Shut up.
Cheetah, if you look at my wall, I have a cheetah first. It's not her first appearance, but she is literally, okay.
I didn't know that cheetah existed, so I was like, what?
In the movie, she is played by Kristen Wiig. Another controversial casting choice.
Kristen Wiig.
Actually, you can go listen to the Camera Reads Comics Wonder Woman 1984 review.
I feel like I have to, because that just really blows my mind.
Okay, so cheetah is actually... There's some factors there that we should talk about. Cheetah, I was going to ask you, I just, sometimes, fun fact for the fans, I don't go over all the questions. I'll write them down, and I meant to ask about Cheetah, but I just didn't even get there. Okay, so first and foremost, the first thing that came to my mind when she fought Cheetah, Cheetah would wipe the floor with Catwoman. She would literally...
Why?
She had no fighting chance. Because if you can go toe-to-toe with Wonder Woman, the number one warrior queen princess Amazon and live to tell the tale, a human in a cat suit should really not be a threat.
Oh, is that what Cheetah is?
Cheetah is pretty much
like basically same-ish.
Think of her power levels as that of, Diana or whoever it be. Think of that as her power level.
Sure.
And so, then that's probably Wonder Woman's, I'd argue, number one foe besides Ares. Think about her going toe to toe. Think about Catwoman going toe to toe against Wonder Woman. Who do you think is going to win?
Yes, but remember we talk. That's.
I get it.
I understand.
But there's no extra factors in this fight scenes that they had that should have let Selina win. Okay, they got her with a trank. That's cool, I guess.
Yeah, I just I didn't know about Cheetah, so I was like, whoa, like another cat lady. What?
Yeah, she is a cat lady. She's a Wonder Woman villain.
And also, just on top of that, can we just even talk about how like Joker is in it, and then Two-Face is in it, and then like.
Those are in the other stories. That's why.
Yeah. It just was funny. It took me off guard.
It took me off guard too. I was like, okay, well, this isn't. That one wasn't my favorite moment. I was like, ooh, it just didn't sit well with me. And then lately, man, my girl Cheetah has not been served. Like the Wonder Woman 1984 wasn't an amazing film.
I'm sorry. She's in Wonder Woman 1984.
She's the main villain.
I never saw it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you said that. But she's the main villain, like, and it's her arc. And I think she's a very interesting character that was just kind of lately. I don't know. I haven't read too many good Cheetah stories. I hear Greg Rucka's Wonder Woman run has some great ones. And so I'm excited to read that. But, it's just another story where I saw my girl Cheetah not served well.
Favorite moment maybe at the end when she has the ring and she's just like, fuck y'all. I'm the head of the family.
Did you like that? Did you like that? The scarecrow gas?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my favorite.
I thought that was good.
I loved that too.
Yeah, and I liked various parts of it for sure. I mean, like I liked the witty points within the story. I thought those were cool.
Yeah, I don't know. My favorite part has to be when the mom shot Blondie. I just thought that was such.
You just were like, yeah.
I was like, hell yeah. We don't know what you think you are. And then, anyways, there's that.
Also, just random, and the fans can't see this, but this reminds me of Run the Jewels, and it's just such a fucking cool.
The Catwoman cover for number 5.
Yes.
That was
so cool.
There's an image I think that embodies Catwoman more. Like that is the pinnacle Catwoman image. That was my phone's screensaver for years.
It's sick.
It's the one with her hand reaching out and all the jewelry on it. It's so good looking. And
yeah.
It's the most perfect Tim Sale art.
And I will say I like the parallel of them running Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, weeks, and correlating like, Monday is the start of something new. And then she was discussing how like she hates Thursdays because you're just not quite finished with what you're doing. And I was like, oh, and then they kind of coordinated the story in that way. And I liked it.
You're funny because I didn't even get that.
Did you even read it?
I did.
I'm just kidding. You're like, I did.
So many fans are just like, lately too, because on my Falcon Winter Soldier episode, I like didn't quite retain all the information. And when I rewatched it the second time, I was like, oh my gosh, like I watched an entirely different episode. Okay, so yeah, there's that. And then last question, most important question, what would you rate the story out of 10?
I'd probably give it like a 6.5.
A 6.5 out of 10. Wow. Okay. I think I'm going to give it honestly, I think I'm going to give it a 5.5. And that's not a bad rating. That's literally middle. I just didn't think, I don't know, that some of the stuff that didn't age with the character, like.
Really detract. Yeah.
It really detracted me because I'm like, I don't know. It didn't do. And then some of the beats in the story, like I didn't love the Blondie romance that was kind of pigeonholed in. I didn't understand why Cheetah needed to be in. And I did not understand what Riddler did. Like I was like, he's like, okay, I'm the bad guy now, and I'm like,
what?
Okay, I guess you are.
Yeah, I liked it because I liked the style.
Yeah,
thought that was cool, and I liked the arc a lot of like her mom being a blind nun and just
Yeah, and exactly. And so the things that hit, I think really did hit.
Yes.
The things that missed
Really missed.
And so,
yeah, agreed.
and again, like the other thing too, the other factor I think of when I read this is number one, I think Darwin Cook's Catwoman is still my pinnacle Catwoman. I think she's perfect in every way, and that's literally. And Tim Sale's art's amazing in here, but I thought that I don't know, some of the writing didn't age well, and I have a better representation of the character in another place. And I think again, if you want my perfect embodiment of a character, it's Selina's big score, and then. Yeah, no. So it didn't land, and I know what this team is capable of, and this didn't meet that benchmark that they had set already. So if that's the case, then let's just move on to the next. And I'm really excited now because I guess I'm just gonna announce it. Next week we're gonna read Long Halloween, and that is, if you like Dark Knight, that's the source material.
Ooh, I'm excited.
It is. It's everything you liked about this story in one, and it's an amazing Batman whodunit, and I think I've read it 3 times, and I found out, thanks to Kyle Rice, you want to talk about me not understanding, there's a big twist at the end of who did it. I did not catch it within the first 3 times that I read it, and it's so explicitly
So was Kyle
it.
just like, oh yeah, this was crazy that this happened, and then you're like, huh?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, and it caused me to reread it, and I was like, I don't know what just happened. How did I miss this? It's like it's the entire resolution, and I was like, oh.
So were you always just left like, wow, I wonder who did it?
No, I'm not going to go deeper into that because you're going to read it. So
I'm going to read it. All right.
It's going to be good. Thank you so much, Lauren, for coming on this week.
Thank you.
I'm so glad to have given you another Catwoman story, and I'm so glad to have a DC fan on here that I'm making a DC fan because I read so much Marvel and other things. So we'll see you next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.